WSKY SkyRock Talk Radio, where the rock don't stop. A-Town, we're on the air. I'm your host. I'm rocking at the speed of light. Rockin Rog. We're starting profiling limousine ride, jet flying and wheeling, dealing like no man can. So lock it in and rip the knob right off of it. Welcome to the place for perseverance, passion, purpose, struggles, and breakthroughs. The place that changes the way you live. And I am the voice behind the rock. I am Rockin Rog. Welcome to the show. This is WSKY SkyRock Talk Radio with your host, Rockin Rog. And we're here to dive into setbacks that were really setups for major success stories. And how do we do that? What we'll be doing is we'll be finding people, incredible people, amazing people that are exactly like you and like me, but they did a few things a little bit differently or a little bit longer, and that is what made them amazing. So how far are you and I from our next success story? One small decision. This is season 1, episode 2. And I would like to personally thank you for joining us, giving us feedback from the first episode and words of encouragement. That means so much. Joining me in this episode is the one and only Mr. Harry Hayes.
How you doing, Rockin Rog? Thank you for having me on.
Originally from New Orleans, now living in Alexandria, he joined the military, the Louisiana Army National Guard, when he was 17 years old for 16 years. Thank you for that service.
Thank you.
Now, as he was overseas, he had a vision, and he is now the founder of an organization called MothCorp, MothCorp.org, if you want to look it up. And Moth is an acronym for Men of the House. Now, there's a spiritual nature to this organization.
It is. MothCorp is about transformation. It's about our young men coming to a point in life where, we get to that place where we're in that transition period, and sometimes we have to give back and come together with God, and understand that our vision is for us to move forward and to continue throughout our journeys, and I'm blessed to have that experience.
That's awesome. What I'd like to do is call out some words and for you to tell us how important these words are to your organization, your vision. The first word is discipline.
Well, discipline. Discipline is everything that we stand for. I learned a lot in the military, and that's what our youth needs. So discipline, we all about discipline. It's very important.
Routines.
Routines. We start our day in routines, and we get to our routines day by day, time by time. That's how we function in a flow.
Growth.
That's what we all about. That's what that transition is for. We all start now, whether we consider ourselves being in a cocoon, we come out as that moth or like that butterfly, and it's all about that growth.
Leadership.
That's one of our military acronyms: loyalty, duty, selfless service, encouragement, personal courage. Leadership is one of the things that we founded upon, and I love being a leader, and I love giving back to my youth so they can be leaders as well.
How about skills?
Well, that's what we're building upon. That's what we're trying to build so we can get out in this economic workforce and do what we can do as civilians or do what we need to do for the communities. We're going to put our skills to the test.
Focus.
Well, focus. I like focus. We need focus. That's something that we don't have a lot of in these days and age. But with focus, we can look at things through that keen detail, and we can actually get a clear picture of it if we just focus. If we stay and we wait long enough, we'll get a good focus on that.
Attention,
kind of caveat to focus. We have to pay attention to focus. So those two works hand in hand, and that's one of the things that we have to build on for our youth.
Giving back.
That's what we want to do. We are in place, and we working our butts off so we can give back to our kids, give back to our communities, give back to our neighbors, and we all understand that we in this together, and we try and help each other and bring each other up.
How important is reflection?
Well, we have to reflect. Every job, every task, everything that we do, we must reflect upon. We have to sit there and kind of do an after-action report and kind of embody the experience so we can understand what we did and we know what we can do better in the future.
Lead by example.
Well, leading by example that's one of the things that we are trying to do as young men. When we lead by example, our younger generation can actually see the ways in which they're supposed to live. They can see that lifestyle that we are leading by, and hopefully, they see what they like and they follow suit.
Whenever we go to the mothcorp.org website, the first thing we see is where sustainability and youth empowerment intersect. What does that mean?
So, with sustainability and youth empowerment, we focus on building a sustainable future, and sustainability is just not looking at the future of energy. It's looking at the future of our bodies, mind, spirit, soul. And we want to take that whole body mindful approach to everything that we do. So when we're talking about sustainability and intersection, we are talking about just us learning as humans and growing forward and embodying our environment and understanding what we have here on Mother Earth and trying to use everything that we have skills-wise so we can move forward as a people.
And one of the things y'all talk about on y'all's website is to empower the at-risk youth to expand their vision and creativity as they build leadership skills to create more sustainable and strong, tough communities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most of our kids, especially in our at-risk neighborhoods, they don't really know the world more so through the lens of just their community or their neighborhood or the street that they grew up on. They don't know what it's like to be outside of the city. They don't know what it's like to be out in different places around the country. So we want to kind of bring forth different elements of the world that can actually help expand their vision and understand that the world is much bigger than just their neighborhoods.
Now, y'all are primarily serving as a mentorship program to develop forward-thinking youth leadership.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The mentoring. What we do in mentoring, we've been doing a lot of private mentoring. We have a lot of single mothers out there that have sons. Sometimes they have trouble with their sons in school and different things like that. So we as young men, we done been in those places before. So we try and get with those young men and we basically hang out with them and we talk to them and we give them an opportunity to open up and be vulnerable, and we learn from that. We learn from them, they learn from us, and we try and build that experience with them so that they can see that we are set forward and leading by example. So we give them a standard that which they can live upon.
And y'all are currently piloting young men in grades levels 5 through 12.
Yes, sir. That high school age, middle school and high school age, those are some real critical stages of life for our young men. And we want to catch them as early as possible. But we understand that some of the issues that our kids are facing in the junior high and the high school ranges could be, critical to their functioning and critical to their lives. So we try and get to them in a way to where we can teach them some things that they may be able to use to guide them and maneuver through society.
And these mentors are leaders that are across various fields and disciplines. You have mentors that are veterans like yourself, community leaders, businessmen, faith, community leaders, entertainers, entrepreneurs, athletes, and innovative thinkers who are devoted to character building that empower underdeserved youth.
I personally believe that everyone is a mentor. We all need mentorship as well. So when you can actually have a fireman, a police officer, a veteran, an athlete, an entertainer that's actually going to come up and step up and say, hey, I want to draft change in my community and I want to actually help lead some of these young men, guide some of these young men on their career paths. So across those disciplines, we have a lot of young men that just don't know what they want to do yet in life. So with those young men having an opportunity to find someone that may be in that discipline, they can get that hands-on knowledge from that individual to kind of see if that's really what they want to do moving forward.
Now, you're also a school teacher of 4 years, and you're teaching law studies, civics, and African American studies.
Yes, sir.
Explain what you're doing there.
Well, I originally, before teaching, I came home and I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do, just transitioning out of the military, but I kind of found another calling in teaching. It put me in a great place to be with the youth and to understand them and to learn from them. And I've just been lucky. I'm a person that likes to I like to read, I like to study, I like to learn. My life is about gaining wisdom and knowledge. So every opportunity I get to teach a different discipline, to teach a different subject, I always take it on, and I have a lot of fun doing it. And just this year in particular, I got to teach law studies, civics, and African American studies. And where African American studies comes in, me being an African American, it's most important for our kids to know their history and to actually know their history in a way to where they can use that history to embody and move forward in the future. And civics basically gives our kids a sense of what's going on in the political world. And law studies is something that our kids definitely need to know about, especially with everything going on in our criminal justice systems. Not knowing the law could be the difference between life and death. And we want our kids, our youth especially, to be knowledgeable in a way to where they can protect themselves and they can protect their communities.
Now, you have a degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in psychology.
Yes, sir. My bachelor's degree is in criminal justice administration. My master's is in psychology. With that master's and that bachelor's, I kind of think I always wanted to know, how the human mind works and why the human behaviors do what they do. And just through learning from the different disciplines, I believe that I can kind of get a better sense on human behavior and just why people do what they do as a whole, and look at the society circumstances to kind of get a clear picture on why our people behave the way they behave.
And one of your major motivations is to be a change agent, a voice of change.
That's what it's all about. I've always stood by, if you're in a situation and you don't like your situation, do something to change that situation. And for me, being an educator, being able to resonate with these kids and talk to these kids, I know with this being a high school experience, some of the advice that I give them right now is going to be the advice that they look back 20 years from now and they can say, hey, I remember Coach Hayes giving me this advice and I used this and I was able to be successful for it. So I can always appreciate having that opportunity to be, an important role in these kids' life.
Now, one of the questions you always ask your students every day is, what's the plan?
What's the plan? A man that's planning to fail, let me see, I think I got that off a little bit. A man that's not planning is planning to fail. And the thing about that is, if we don't have a plan, we don't know where we're going. And without that plan, we are kind of just in a mode to where we are wasting time. And I don't need our kids wasting time. Time is precious. Time is the most abundant resource that we are losing constantly. So for us, I think it's very important that our kids are planning for their future. And when they can take the time to sit down and write out their goals and make tangible steps toward those goals, we can actually see some results. And when our kids don't have a plan, they're kind of just out there wandering, and that's how you get in trouble, and that's what we don't want. So one of the questions I always make sure to ask, what's the plan? And I keep asking that question every day until they come up with a plan, or we sit down and we work on a plan.
Now, one thing that you need more than anything else that's in your organization is like-minded people to help you with your vision, this men of the house.
with like-minded people is, Man of the House it's not an organization that I founded for myself. It was an organization that I founded for my community. Man of the House is about every young man, even every young woman. It's not just specific to genders. But with Man of the House, like I say, everyone needs mentors. So where we come in with that mentorship, if you have a person that's like-minded and they have a heart for the community and a mind for the community, like these are the folks that we want. We want folks that are going to be selfless and that's going to be willing to give back and actually communicate, cross bridges to actually bring us all together. And I just know when I have like more so people like myself, like yourself, we can actually get a lot done just through our communication. And like that's something that we all can appreciate.
Now, one of the things that we're trying to do, and one of the things that you're trying to do within your organization is, sadly, right now, we've got school to graveyard or school to prison. And what you're trying to do through your organization is to turn it into school to workforce or school to college.
School to workforce, school to college, school to military, anything but school to prison. A lot of my research was about the school to prison pipeline, and we can see, especially in Louisiana with the incarceration rates that we have, that a lot of our young men go straight from the school system to the prison system. And that's not in any kind of way, functionable for our youth. I believe that all of our young men, in a sense, young men and young ladies are gifted. And if they have a way of finding their talents, finding their potentials, they can use that potential to actually go out into the economic workforce. So the things where that gets them in trouble, the distractions that are out there, that actually gets them in trouble, these are the things that are causing our young men and our young women to end up going to prison instead of going out into the workforce and living their young lives and actually seeing what they can be.
How can anyone reach you at this moment?
You can reach me on Facebook. On Facebook, it's Harry Hayes, HarryHayes. You can reach me on Instagram. Instagram is God Complex 2. You can reach me on my website. It's www.mothcore.org.
Awesome. We want to thank Mr. Harry Hayes. If you want to reach him once again, Facebook is Harry Hayes. Instagram is 2God Complex. And the website is mothcorp.org. This podcast, WSKY SkyRock Talk Radio, needs your attention. The attention of our listeners, the entourage of Rockin Rog, the fans, the listeners, the supporters. We're coming together to build the strongest rocking, reaching our community, our city with kindness movement that the social media in this area, your area, has ever seen. Because the more we share our story, your story, the more lives we can change. We want to thank you for joining us in this movement. So will you subscribe? Will you share? Will you listen? Will you support? Will you even be willing to tell your story, the good, the bad, the perseverance of your life? Once you get through it, help someone else get through it. It's your life, your story, your journey. Make sure to join us on our Facebook group, WSKY SkyRock Talk Radio, and hit us up on our website, skyrocktalkradio.com, if you haven't already. Thank you for listening. And before you go, show some love to Mr. Harry Hayes for liking this YouTube channel and subscribing, and for your favorite podcast by leaving us a review. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us, and share this episode so that they can also join in with this movement and be blessed by what they hear. So let's reach our community, let's reach our city with kindness, and let's rock it, baby.
Let's rock it.